my name is Holly and I love to crochet and make plushies. Welcome to my channel where I will talk about all things crochet and my journey in starting into the crochet business. This is my first YouTube video. I just want to kind of start at the beginning and talk about how I got to be here. It is currently January 18th of 2024. Let's start. Okay, so way back to the beginning, I have not been much of a crafty person. I never have tried crochet. I think at one point I maybe picked up knitting needles, but it was like a one-day thing. So I'm a stay-at-home mom and I have right now currently 3 beautiful boys. I am so blessed to be able to stay at home, but I've definitely lost a sense of myself. I have a sense of individuality, of not necessarily purpose, but maybe success. I used to always just work super hard in school, super hard in my life, and that hard work would pay off and I would see success. But with my kids, I would read all these parenting books, I would try to do everything perfect, and it did not mean my kids are perfect. So I really needed to find something that was separate from my kids, separate from being a wife and a mother, something that was purely for me. In July of 2023, I discovered that the amazingness of crochet, specifically from Elise Myers. She is an Instagram influencer, TikToker, comedian. I love her. She's hilarious. If you haven't seen her, please go check her out. She just makes my life a happier and better life, and I think she spreads joy to others. But she discovered crochet and showed amigurumi and stuffed animals, and I was like, what? You can do that? So when I saw I could make a plushie, I was super excited. At this time, I was currently 9 months pregnant, and I thought 2 days prior to me being induced, actually I probably thought this a little bit before then, but I knew I was going to get induced in 2 days, and I thought, oh my gosh, I need a stuffed animal to go with my baby to take monthly photos. And I thought, what if I could crochet one? What if I could make my own? So I look up patterns, I try to look at what I should do. I go 2 days prior to me being induced, I go to Walmart to try and get cheap supplies, cheap yarn, trying to find what I could do to keep this project cheap, because what if I don't stick to it? What if I hate this? I found an amigurumi ball online on YouTube and I tried to figure out what to do, and I was just super beginner, had no idea what I was doing, and that ball took me so long to do, and it's so funny watching it now because that ball is so simple to make now, but at the time it was so hard for me. I don't think I finished it that day. I think it took me 2 days to finish, along with being a stay-at-home mom and doing my other tasks. So I was like, well, I'm obviously not going to get this stuffed animal done, but you know what? This is still interesting to me. I really still want to see it through. I have my baby, beautiful baby boy. I love him. He's wonderful, but I'm obviously in postpartum stages at this point. So crocheting is not on my mind, but as I'm recovering and as I'm getting back into the swing of things, I try to pick it up again. I have the yarn, I have the hooks. I tried using plush yarn to make this elephant and I couldn't see my stitches. I had no idea what I was doing, and I was like, this is way too hard. Am I doing the wrong hook? What am I doing? I can't see anything. I have to feel for this. How do I do this feeling? I barely know what I'm doing. It's like, okay, this isn't gonna work. I need to go back to acrylic yarn and try and make something through that. I then look up, simple things to make, and I see jellyfish. So I started to make my jellyfish, and it took me all of August. So I had my baby the very end of July. So throughout August, I'm working on the jellyfish, and it is just laughable how it turned out. But I was also very proud of it because I learned a lot from it. It was my very first one, and my boys loved it. They gave it a big hug, they were obsessed with it, and it just filled my heart with so much joy. And I was like, I gotta keep doing this. Then I went to one of my boys and my 3-year-old, and I said, okay, what do you want me to make you? And he wanted a triceratops. Found a triceratops pattern that was free, and it took me probably the whole month. I worked on it in September, and I finally finished it. I thought, okay, well now I'm gonna make something for my 5-year-old, and he wanted a cheetah, which is his favorite animal, and he wanted blue yarn and red yarn because those are his 2 favorite colors. And I thought, how crazy is this cheetah gonna look? But you know what? If I can't crochet a unique item for my 5-year-old, what's the point of crocheting? I can make whatever color we want it to make. That's the beauty of this. I started working on it in October, but I stopped because at that point I started getting back into like a needlepoint cross stitch project. I realized it is so tedious, it takes so much work, so much time, and after working on that for a lot of hours throughout that month of October, I just like put my crochet to the side. I was like, I need to finish this. I'm like one of those people that has to work on one thing at a time. I put it to the side and I realized that I really loved crochet and that cross stitch might not be for me. It turned out beautifully. I still love that I have it and my boy picked it out, but it just made me realize how much I really love crochet, because while my crochet projects took me a month, it didn't take me that many hours. It was just like here and there I'd pick it up and work on it, and I was still learning like increase and decrease and all of the terms that come with crochet. I was like, hey, I'm gonna get back on this crochet wagon. In November, I finally started getting into making the cheetah and finishing it, and I think I finished that cheetah in like a week. End of November, I finished the cheetah, and my 5-year-old loved it, and I was so happy. I then picked up my first custom order that wasn't from my kids, and it was to make Perry the platypus. And I looked online, I saw some pictures, and I thought, I'm gonna do this picture right here, and I think I can do it by myself. I couldn't find like a pattern that I really wanted to use, so I was like, I think I can figure this out myself. It took me a long time, but I did. I figured out how to make it myself. I wrote down everything. I haven't shared this pattern with anyone because it uses different weight yarns. It was my very first thing. I don't know, maybe one day I should write a pattern up for it. But so I finished Perry. It was my very first plushy stuffed animal that I made, and I understood how to work with plush yarn, and it was really exciting. I was so excited. I remember telling my husband after that, I said, you know what, I'm gonna start working with chenille yarn. That's what I really enjoyed doing. It was so much fun. And then later that day he called me up and he said, hey, I've got a lot of free yarn here from my grandma who doesn't need it anymore. Do you want it? And I was like, of course I want it. It's free yarn. So he brings over like 4 huge bags full of yarn, and it's all acrylic yarn. It is not chenille yarn. It's not plushy. And I thought, well, I still feel like I could do something with this yarn. It's free yarn. I'm still learning this craft. I don't want to say no to this. So I took it on and I started to think about how ways I could use it up, but I was also like, but I want to work on plush yarn and I want to do these. And so then entered December. In December, I got crazy obsessed with crochet. And I think since then, since December of 2023, which was, a month ago, I think I've like crocheted every single day. Like I just love it. I love seeing the progress I make of something. I love how quick it can be. Even if it's a long project, you see what you're doing, you see the progress from it. Then I just started making a ton of stuff. I started trying out different patterns, and I thought I'll use acrylic yarn to try out different patterns. I did axolotls, I did a sea turtle, I did those little mushy pops. I started making hats with the acrylic yarn because I realized I could donate them to my local schools, so I started doing that, which was really fun. And I was like, you know what, I would love to somehow further this than just me making stuffed animals and hats. Like I would love to share this with others. I would love to make more for other people. I would love to make my own patterns and sell this. So that's when the idea started coming to me of creating my own Instagram, maybe my own YouTube, maybe an Etsy shop. I started taking photos, taking videos, taking ideas of what I wanted to do, and enter January, and I think January 2nd I posted my first Instagram photo. And from there I just thought, I'm going to try and post something every single day, show what I've done, show new things I'm creating, and just try and be part of this crochet world. And I do want to update this as time goes on of how I'm building my Instagram page, how I'm building on social media, so stay tuned for that. I now am in January and I have my Instagram page going. I did start an Etsy shop, but along the way throughout this, I did also do another custom order for someone else, and it was a cow, and I loved how it turned out. It was so much fun to make, so good for me to try and make that, and it turned out great. But I thought, well, maybe someone else would want me to make something similar, and I could post it on Etsy, and they could say, hey, I want that, and I can make it for them. So I was kind of doing like made to order things on my shop, and I put a few things up that I had already made, but like I would need to make more of if people ordered them. So I was really worried that I was going to have a ton of orders for this cow or for anything else and be stressed about it. And it's like, I'm a stay-at-home mom. Like, I just want this to be a side gig. I don't want this to be a thing that stresses me out. I want it to enjoy it. One of the things I really loved about crochet is that I could kind of do it while the kids are playing, or I could do it while I'm waiting in the car or picking up my kid from school, or I could do it in the evening time while watching a show. So it just felt like there were a lot of moments in my life where I could be doing something productive, not take away from being a stay-at-home mom. I realized like this Etsy shop being made to order just isn't the right thing at this moment. So I paused that and I thought, I'm just going to focus on Instagram, share what I have, and make what I want and go from there. But like really my goal is I would love to make plushies for other people, stuffed animals or hats or whatever it is I'm going to decide to make. I think that's something I'm still discovering. I want to share this with other people. I want them to have the joy that my kids are having whenever I make them something. It's just the best. I love the idea of donating things, donating caps to cancer patients, donating hats to kids in need. There's so much good that you can do from this, but it's also just like, oh, it's just a side thing for me. It's not taking away from anything in my life. Instead, it's like adding to it, and that's the beauty of this. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I am discovering different patterns. I'm trying out new things. I'm trying out hats. I'm sharing it on Instagram. Definitely watch out for future videos of how I'm growing my social media platforms, how I'm deciding on what to do with my future business potentially, and also like follow along as I crochet. If you want to follow me on Instagram or TikTok, definitely give me a like and a follow, Holly B Crochet, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!